What is up, folks? Today we are putting the block inside the Prelude. So here's what I got. Some reinforcement on this side, reinforcement on that side, engine mount ready with the urethane that I showed you, urethane here as well. It's been all dried up. This engine mount as well, we're gonna have to figure out how to put the block onto it. What I want to show you is ultimately right now the way that we're strapping the block. We're gonna be two to carry it, and I will show you what happens with it. Here's the block with the 4x4 ratchet strapped on it around the block. One person's going to carry there, the other person's going to carry here. Going to be able to drop it on the side of the car, and hopefully then we're going to be able to tie down the engine mount. So let's see what happens. Another day, another minus $100. 120. So we're doing this guy. Mark went in, installed and torqued the flywheel. Was it 76 foot torque pound with some Loctite? So that is all done. Now we bought a brand new fuel filter. This one has probably never been changed since the beginning of time, which was in 1998. So we removed the top not return, but technically the top feed. We removed the bottom feed, and now we have the new fuel filter. Where is it? Is it in the box?
It's in a box. It's in a box. It's got you got the filter here if you want to see. This is supposed to be a cap that's in the box. Goes in, turn in that away, where this tab here locks down there into this slot. And we've got new copper rings here, crush rings.
Nice.
There's three of them.
So one for the bottom, and
one I'm a little.
Yeah, the small one is probably for the bottom line, and the two are for the top. So one under the banjo and one on top of the banjo. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So what are we doing now? Loctite.
Loctite to reinstall the clutch.
The clutch with the clutch aligning tool. So we cleaned it a bit with some brake fluid. Some people are probably going to complain that it's the worst thing to do. Other people are going to say that it's probably a good thing to do.
Well, considering
don't really care.
No, same, but considering the crap that was on it, it needed to be cleaned.
With something, right?
With something, yeah.
So, look, rag, some brake cleaner, made it all nice and pretty. Torque down the flywheel as I mentioned earlier. Now we're putting some Loctite on these guys. We'll torque it down. Can't remember what the specs are, but we have a spec sheet somewhere.
We have the sheet on the table.
So we'll torque that down. Once it's torqued, we'll remove the alignment tool. We'll just slide it out from the tranny, and then hopefully we're going to be able to put the
slide it out from the tranny. What?
Yeah. So we'll tighten this guy up. We'll make sure
a new filter. New filter installed, and if you look down here, you see, I'm not sure if you see it, rack and pinion. So you see the pressure and the return lines. They are now looped together. So we left a bit of the flex line, a bit of length to it, filled it with power steering fluid, and then quickly put it onto the pressure side and clamped it down. So it's a closed
closed loop.
It's a closed loop. But there's not going to be any turning of the wheels while stationary, or at least it's going to be hard. So don't blow this engine.
Well, hopefully we're just going to go in straight lines.
Straight lines is the plan, really. But yeah, for now it still looks like a mess, but it'll come together.
In 45 minutes. No, we have, what do we have left? Like probably 40 minutes?
At this point, barely. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna
Almost
say
done.
39 and a half.
Easy.
Yeah.
So if you want to do your own
I'll put
engine
this down
swap,
so that we can actually get some stuff done.
if you want to do your own engine swap, plan an hour. It'll be fine.
Sure.
Like they show in the movies.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, hey Mike. How's it going?
Horrible.
What do you mean horrible?
What time is it? 'Cause we should have been done. We should be done in like an hour?
Yeah, I think we spent a little more than 5 minutes on this one though, right?
Putting on a transmission
Yeah,
and aligning it with no like engine frame and
Yeah.
like this is a nightmare.
Okay, well, in fairness, the engine was tilted down. We lifted the car. We slipped the transmission from down there
Yeah.
under here. Then we kind of manhandled it sort of into position, put a jack stand underneath, and then needed proper support. So, and proper, I'm going to say proper.
It's proper. It's a 4x4.
Sure.
This is good wood. This was like $15 for the 4x4.
Okay. I mean, it's the hillbilly way, but it's a way. Anyway, so yes, so we had to kind of lift the engine. We had a strap under the engine, which is still there. Had a strap under the transmission to kind of hold it up into the correct position so that we didn't screw up the splines. And so now we've put in pretty much all of the big bolts. I say we. Mike has put in the bigger bolts that hold the transmission to the block and now to the rear mount. I've just kind of filled around and put the transmission mount on the other side there. So now we'll be ready to kind of raise it up, put that mount on that side.
The big bolt?
Yep, and then transmission is pretty much good.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hello. How's it going?
What are you up to? Holy wow.
Axle's back in on this side, and that's on but not torqued. I put the upper ball joint back on in the proper direction with the safety pin.
Oh.
Because that's how we do it.
Okay. That's how you do it. I would have,
do it.
yeah. So then Mark's gonna do this side because apparently he does it properly.
Do it properly.
And yeah, so axle. Once that is in, I think we might move to. Like crank pulley. It's gonna have to go on. We might have to put that on before we put the head. It's probably gonna be a bit of more access. And I think that the next thing we're probably gonna be put the head on, head studs, head gasket, and all of that stuff. Because then it's gonna be a whole bunch of just connecting stuff. So
Yeah, connecting stuff, hanging cables where they're not in the way, putting them back on proper mounts where they should be going.
have the shift linkage on, we have the fuel stuff on. So we're gonna do reattach whatever we need to reattach at the end of the block. So we have the oil filter brand new that I just put on. We have a few sensors and we have a few coolant hoses that we need to put. And once that is done, what we're gonna do is we're gonna be putting on the head studs. So we have some ARP head studs, and we also have a brand new head gasket somewhere in all of this. So these are gonna go on ahead, then the head gasket's gonna go on. One thing that we have learned is that the good thing is that there's lube that comes with it, but also that there's a certain direction that these go. So I put them all in the same direction. You have some small threads here and you have some big threads there. The small threads go at the top of the block.
Yep, that's right.
And the big threads, they actually go at the
In the block.
in the block. So what you need to do is you need to grab them, you need to put some lube on all of the ends, and then you need to put them on the head, and it has to be hand tightened. What's going to tighten it and actually stretch it is once we torque it and the head is actually on. So that's where we're getting to. We still have a whole bunch of parts. The head is right here, it's ready to go. So we'll get to reattaching some of those hoses, cleaning the head. I'll probably start the compressor so that we have so that the pistons and everything are cleaned and that there's no debris. And I don't know.
Clean, put the studs on. Ooh, torque is in the same pattern as Honda's, but they said three even steps to 90 pounds, which means first round at 30 in the pattern, and then at 60 foot-pounds, and then 90. Yeah.
And with the big 90.
Did they?
And with the big 90.
With the big 90, yeah.
So that's what we have. Still a whole bunch of parts, still a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of wires, but it's progressing, so we're quite happy with that. We'll get to that and we'll be back in a second. So Mark is concerned.
I am concerned. Gotta do this right.
But we have the head gasket on, we have the ARP head studs on, the head is ready to go on. We removed the thermostat housing so that we don't have as much difficulty sliding this on, so it can just slap the head on and we should be good. We'll put the housing afterwards, so that helps a lot. The only thing that we're wondering is if the head gasket goes this side or if ever we're kind of flipping it around, because
well, not just flipping it around. I'm looking at the channels here, right? These channels are closed over here, and at the very far end they're wide open over here, while these ones are practically shut. So there has to be a correct way to put this on.
Too bad I didn't start earlier, because Marcus kind of sweating like a pig.
Mark's working out.
Or even more, like a cow or something. Who knows?
Cow? Did you fucking call me a cow?
Sweating like a cow.
Like a... No.
A cow doesn't sweat, right? Pig sweats.
Who knows?
Does a pig sweat? Who knows? So anyways, we just torqued these, or yeah, Mark
yes.
and I.
We.
Yeah, Mark and I, sure.
Yeah.
30, 60, 90 foot-pounds. We added a little O-ring here. Apparently you need this because otherwise your VTEC might not engage. So this was done. Now what we're going to be doing is there's a whole bunch of little crap like dust over this. I'll probably just lube it up and then add some air, like air spray it off. And then we're going to add some assembly lube. We're going to put the cams. We're going to put the gaskets and a whole bunch of stuff. Torque the valve cover back on and hopefully be able to do the timing. So it's progressing quite well. So Mark said we're doing timing, so let's get to it. Cams are in, they are sealed, and Mark is lubricating.
Alright, update. We've got a lot less parts now. Just sitting around, but still many tools. It's because the better part of the parts are now back in here. It's starting to look like an engine.
Yeah, starting to.
Yeah. Mike had fun with this little gasket here that would not stay on.
That doesn't matter. It was more the bolt that we stripped in the head.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun.
We're not going to talk about it, so let's just move on. So we stripped the bolt, we fixed it, and let's just move on.
And proceeds to talk about it.
Never torque the spec.
Well, yeah, and that's exactly what we did.
Actually, do torque the spec, but make sure that you change every single bolt
for a brand new one. Yeah.
For everything possible. Even things that technically you should not necessarily be changing, but who knows how many times this was torqued, right? So
yeah, a few too many apparently. Anyway, one of the bolts snapped. It wasn't much. It was 20 foot-pounds, which is good news because it snapped before it got to 20 foot-pounds. So anyway, Mike luckily had an extractor kit, and so we just had to drill a hole down the center of the bolt and then use the extractor bit to remove it, which took what? It took a half hour, 45 minutes of our time.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I think there was more awing than actual action.
Yeah.
Or movement on that. Anyway, so we had to remove this mount here since we've now had 3 more. Remove the mount, reinstall all the cams, snap the bolt, replace the bolt. Put the belt on after removing this mount down here, which was a bit of a pain. There's like 4 bolts underneath here that go to the block, and you cannot remove this top portion without this this black piece that goes to the block to be completely removed. It has to be completely removed. Yeah. Anyway, so now we're kind of piecing bits and pieces together here. I put the fuel line back on over here with the new crush washer. Got a bunch of vacuums stuck here, throttle cable over here that needs to go back there.
Yeah.
This is the line. This is a feed line for the turbo that's gonna kind of flip over at some point.
Where's the harness for the injectors?
I wondered the same thing. I was looking at the injectors here going, yeah, there's a harness for that somewhere. Huh. I did not see it, but here's my theory. This is a harness we likely removed because it had one larger connector elsewhere on the harness, and then would have the smaller connector for the each injector. So check the trunk just to be sure. Yeah, likely. Anyway, so yeah, just wanted to give a small progress update. Yeah, exactly.
We're almost there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll give it another 15 minutes.
We've done this timing on this car probably 20 some times in the past, so yeah, it didn't take us that long. We kind of knew where we were going, so it took a bit of time just to be sure that it's on. It's a little bit tight. Yeah. Mike is a little bit concerned, but he's got this manual adjuster down here, and I think it was set a little bit tight. He says it's not, but
the problem is if it's too tight, you'll get some belt walk. So as soon as you turn it on, you'll see
it kind of shimmy left and right.
Well, in these engines, because you have the manual tensioner, they're actually going to walk off. Like they're going to start walking towards the right of the engine. Like you'll see it's going to come out, like come off of the cams.
Okay.
So you definitely want to make sure that it's adjusted properly. With the manual adjuster, sure, we can probably just tweak it as we go moving forward if every timing is right. Like
we'll crank it over. We'll see if it walks. If it doesn't walk, we'll leave it. If it does look like it wants to move over, then yeah, we'll fight and get some keys in there and try to just slack off a bit of that tension.
Last time
it is pretty tight.
We did it tight, and it was running fine in a driveway, but as soon as we took it out for a spin and we gave it some throttle, you could hear how it was almost like a supercharger.
It's you could hear like the bearing whines. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway,
we'll see how it goes. We have a few more wires to reconnect, a few more belts and silly little stuff, maybe the exhaust.
Exhaust, turbo, etc. But that's easy. That's all at the front, and that's easy to put together. It's the whole harness at the back now we got to kind of figure out and reroute and make sure that we've got everything hooked up where it should be.
Yep.
So good progress. Moving on. Yep. All right, where are we at, Mike?
We're kind of ready to give it a test crank, I guess, and see if it starts. We try to spin the crank over to see if it doesn't bind with the valves or anything like that, and it seems to be fine. Like it doesn't crush the valves. So we did have it top dead center. We did check timing. If ever we're off by maybe half a tooth, so that's not that big of a deal for that. It might just not run properly, who knows. The only concern is that when we try to spin the crank, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of compression. So there is some that's building up. It's not.
But these are also new rings, so I don't know how it should feel with new rings. Should they already be making full compression, or is it gonna run rough for the first little bit? I don't know.
It should start pretty well, but yeah, I don't know.
All right, well.
So we have everything connected, I think, as far as we know. We double checked, triple checked, and everything, and we should be fine from that perspective. Just want to make sure nothing is touching the timing belt, and we'll give it a test crank, I guess, and
give it a shot.
Boy.
We'll report back after. All right, what happened, Mike?
Mark said that I need to give my status update real quick because we're missing batteries. So we cranked the car, and
it cranks. Good, it cranks.
That was the status update.
Yes,
I'm done.
Absolutely.
No, I'm done.
Oh, you're done.
I'm done.
Oh, okay.
So that was the status update. So we cranked it, and it cranks.
Here's an engine, and it cranked.
So the next video will be on Monday. So it does crank. We're getting spark, we're getting fuel, it's not leaking, it cranks. I'll leave it to that. Thanks guys. Like and subscribe.
Later.